And then the other thing that we try and do for family caregivers is respite, which basically just means trying to give you as a family caregiver a little bit of a break. I'm Jennifer. I'm from the Area Office on Aging. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the different things the Area Office on Aging does, but I work in the Caregiver program. So most of my focus is going to be on the stuff that we do for family caregivers, because that's the program I work in. So there we go, the Area Office on Aging. Justin Moore is our president and CEO. I'll have our contact information up later too, and I can give you that as well. Like I said, I'm from the Caregiver program. The Area Office on Aging, we service Northwest Ohio, so that's 10 counties. All the ones listed there: Lucas, Wood, Erie, Sandusky, Ottawa, Henry, Williams, Fulton, Defiance, and Paulding County. So if you live in any of those counties, we can help you. For the Caregiver program, you as a caregiver don't necessarily need to live in one of our counties, but the person you're caring for does. So if you are an out-of-town caregiver and living even in a different state, there are certain things that we can do to try and help you through the Caregiver program.
Excuse me, what would Hancock County be under?
That I do not know, but I can look if you give me a second.
It's through Lima.
Through Lima. I did bring our resource guides. In the front of it, there is a map of Ohio, and it has each of the Area Office on Agings listed for what county you might live in, if not in Northwest Ohio. Okay. For the caregiver programs, though, each county, not each Area Office on Aging does them a little differently. So if you live in one of those other counties, especially for the caregiver program, you would want to contact them directly to see what services they provide for their caregivers. So for our caregiver program, a lot of the things that we do are that information and assistance. If all you're needing is a little bit of help, a little bit of guidance of what you're needing, we can just strictly provide you that information and assistance. We do caregiving counseling, where as a caregiver, if you're ever feeling overwhelmed with that caregiving role, we do offer counseling services at no cost to you. They're on a temporary basis, but to try and help you maybe go through some of those issues that you might present as a family caregiver. We also do educational things. As the caregiver support program, I brought some of these flyers too. Those are in the back. But we do a virtual caregiver educational series. We do that once, sometimes twice a month. The one is in the evening and one is in the afternoon, where we have different speakers speaking on different topics that all are geared towards caregiving. If you want to participate in any of those, you can do it over Zoom. We do it over Zoom, so you can use computer, smartphone, or you can just call in on a landline and listen in. Occasionally we do them in person in Lucas County and out in Henry County. But those are, even if we're doing them in person, we still do them over Zoom so you can listen. They are not recorded, so it is a live stream. So if you want to participate, you do have to participate at the time that we're offering them. And then the other thing that we try and do for family caregivers is respite, which basically just means trying to give you as a family caregiver a little bit of a break. And so we do that on a temporary basis. For the caregiver program, all the services we offer are under the Older Americans Act. We get funding at the beginning of each year. So as we use it throughout the year, when it's gone, it's gone. So we try, sometimes at the end of the year, we might not have the funding available to help.
When is the end of your year?
Calendar year. Yep.
Okay.
So January, December is when you can use it. You can use our services every year for respite for those paid services.
Once a year?
So for our respite, the way it works is we offer it in a couple different ways. It's an either or. You pick how you want to try and use it. So the first way we offer that respite would be doing some in-home services, where we would bring one of our contracted home care agencies in to sit with your loved one so you can get away and get a break. And so then we offer that just for a couple months out of a year for a certain amount of hours each one of those months. The thing about in-home, though, it is dependent on staffing. So unfortunately, sometimes we can't staff that because we have to use the agencies that contract with us as a program. So right now, we only have 3 home care agencies that we contract with, so sometimes that unfortunately limits what we can do there.
Can you tell me who they are?
Off the top of my head, we have ABC, we have First Choice, and I think the other one is Cambridge. Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. And then instead of doing in-home, we do offer adult day services as well as a respite. The adult day we contract with is here, actually in this building for Memory Lane, where you would bring your loved one in and have them attend the adult day so that you can get a break. Same thing with home care. It's limited as to how often we do that. It's usually 3 months, and we offer like maybe a day a week where we would help assist with the cost of that so that you could bring your loved one here and give yourself a break. The adult day is a great way for not only you as a caregiver, but the person you're caring for to have them come and spend the day and do some activities and get out of the house themselves. But as a caregiver, that gives you a whole day to do whatever those things that you aren't able to do, doctor's appointments, whatever that might be, just going to a park and sitting, whatever you want. So the only agency that we contract with for adult day is Memory Lane. They have an office here in Bowling Green, and then they have one in Lucas County on Reynolds Road. So depending on where you're living at, would depend on which one of those facilities you would go to. So the last way we provide respite through the caregiver program would be a respite stay at a facility. And that facility would be of the caregiver's choice. We usually ask that you give us a couple choices of where you would want your loved one to be so that we, in case maybe that first choice doesn't have a bed available, we can quickly move on to those other choices. For a respite stay, you can use it once a year. And really the amount of time that we give really depends on what funding money we have available. If we have a tight year where we don't have a lot of money, we might limit the amount of days that we offer. If we have more money to use, a lot of times we'll do up to 11 days. So when you have other programs going on with that 11 days, if you have agencies, we do have a lot of I'm going to use the word facility, I'm sorry, that do have time limits. Like if they won't do anything less than 12 days, 14 days, 5 days sometimes we'll come across. But so a lot of times what we'll do is if you want to go to a facility that has those times, we might pay up to a certain amount of days, and then if you want them to stay those remaining days, you would pay privately directly to the facility for those extra days. If we have hospice involved, a lot of times what we'll do is we will ask them to do, because usually they'll do like a 5-day stay at a facility, so we'll ask them to do the first 5 days you might need, and then we'll pick up the rest of those days. Like say if you're going out of town and you need 10 days, that way you can use 5 of hospice's days, 5 of our days, and then you have 5 more or maybe 6 more of our days left that you can use later in the year and combine it again with hospice so that you can get more of a longer stay in case you need to go out of town, or maybe you're having your own health issues and you need your loved one to be somewhere while you address those.
How far in advance do you have to let you know, and do we call you?
So for our program, as a federal program, you do have to apply for our program. There's an application process that you have to fill out an application, and then we come out and meet with you and do a home visit. So that can take a little bit of time, just getting the application and getting those appointments set up. But once you are in our program and we've done those things, usually we need about 2 weeks' notice, okay? And that would be the same way as if you used it 1 year and you want to use it the next year. We don't necessarily, you don't have to fill another application out. We don't have to come back out and meet with you. We just would need maybe a quick update over the phone and then getting those things set up. And the things that we need is at least that 2 week notice. If you have more, that's great, because then we can have it set so that we know you're going to use it. And we need 3 choices of facilities that you would want to go to. Sometimes when we're combining with hospice, a lot of times they might already have the facility that you're going to use, and so we just need that one choice. And
do you have a list of places that take people for respite?
So we provide a list of nursing homes and assisted living facilities, because depending on the person you're caring for, you could go to either or. That part doesn't matter to us. But we'll provide you a list of them in your county or the surrounding counties, and then it's up to you to decide which one to use. I can't necessarily recommend a place, but as they said earlier, like checking, going to visit, looking at Medicare, comparing them, asking family members who've been places, going to tour, it's always a great idea.
Thank you.
Yeah, but at least, you know, if you have those 3 choices, then yes, we'll go from there.
Do you, whenever someone applies on the Area Office on Aging website or whatever the application process, does it always require a home visit first, really, to get to know the patient and the family? And then once you said that's completed, then you're able to get them in the system.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's better to think ahead.
Yes, yeah, even if you don't, especially for the caregiver program, maybe not for some of our other programs, you wouldn't be able to do that.
Sure.
But for the caregiver program, yes. If you are a caregiver and you think maybe not this year, but maybe next year you might want to use something, it's always a great idea to just do the application, get the home visit and all that stuff out of the way, so that all you do need to do is call and say, this is what I want and this is what I'm needing, so that you don't have to take the maybe a month or 2 that it's going to take for us to do the application and come out and meet with you.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Some of our other programs that might not, you can't do that. They have limits on to how long you're evaluated and everything. Any other questions on that part? Okay. Yeah, but the respite stay is a great way just for you to get a break. And sometimes when you're going out of town, you just unfortunately can't take that loved one with you. And I don't know if I said this, you don't necessarily have to be living with the person you're caring for you to be using our services. You can be a caregiver that's not necessarily living with them, but that person you're caring for does need assistance with things. And some of our supplemental services, we do on a limited basis provide assistance with low-end medical equipment that maybe Medicare will not pay for. So that might include shower chairs, grab bars being placed in a shower. Once again, all those things depend on funding. Sometimes we have in the past been able to do higher end things like a ramp or a stair chair lift, but a lot of that once again depends on where our funding money is at, what we're able to help with. We do also help with incontinence products. If your loved one's using incontinence products, we will help on a temporary basis to assist with purchasing some of those, because it can get rather expensive pretty quickly. So it's not enough to maybe last you through a year, but at least it'll save you a little bit of money getting whatever you might be using. Any questions on that? Okay. So I kind of touched on this already, but our eligibility population, as a caregiver, you can be of any age as long as you're caring for an older adult. That would be 60 or older, that's frail, that's needing assistance with some of their daily tasks of living, like bathing or dressing or toileting, some of those like finances, medications, those kinds of things. The only time that the age might not matter for us would be is if there's some type of cognitive disorder going on, like an Alzheimer's or a dementia, where there's memory loss going on. That can be at any age, because unfortunately we do have some of those early diagnoses where people are suffering some of those things at a younger age. So we will step in and help for that type of thing as well. Oh, I already talked about that. That's our educational series, and there's flyers back there. A lot of times, you know, if a topic's not to your interest, you can just email me or Tracy. Tracy's the other lady that does what I do, and we would just send you the link as to whichever one you want to attend to. So that's pretty much for the caregiver department. Does anybody have any questions about any caregiving specific questions? Okay. So some of the other things at the Area Office on Aging that we do, we have our Aging and Disability Resource Network, our ADRN department. They're our first call center where you might go directly when you're calling the Area Office on Aging for the first time. They're kind of like our resource center where they're gonna, if you have questions or just need information mailed out to you, they'll kind of address those needs with you. They also set up appointments for our passport programs and some of our other programs at the Area Office on Aging. And they also do our long-term care consultations, which any person of any age can have one of our long-term care consultations. It's just basically a resource appointment where they'll come send a social worker out and just provide some of those resources that are in your area, or if you have questions about those things, and they'll bring them out and make referrals from there as needed for you. I kept this in there. The Area Office on Aging does not do the senior farmers market coupons anymore. We assist with it. It's actually done by the Ohio Department of Aging now. But I kept that in there because just to make sure, y'all, if you're eligible for that, that you're applying for those, the senior farmers markets, you get coupons to use at some of the senior farmers markets. It's a good way to get some great fruits and veggies. Helps you.
Financial criteria?
Yes, there is financial criteria. On here, that homegrown benefits is the link, but if you need it, I can provide you the actual website for the Ohio Department of Aging, where you have to fill the application out. It'll take you directly to the application. You just fill it out online. Last year was the first year they're all online. This year it will be all online. You have to do the application online, and they used to be, you know, just paper coupons, but now it's like a little card, like a little credit card that they load up, and you'll get that, and then they'll use that every year for you to reload it. But you do have to fill out the application every year for those.
What is the age?
60.
60?
Mhm. So the other big program at the Area Office on Aging is our Passport program. It's a Medicaid waiver program where they try and keep people in their homes as long as they're able to. It is a Medicaid program, so you do have to qualify for Medicaid, which has an income-based, asset-based limits. So I did also bring those if anybody's interested in the Passport program. It has everything on here, just the flyer with the income limit, the asset limits for qualifying for that. But they do a lot of different things if you qualify for that. They have a case manager that manages your case, but they'll pay for like personal care, homemaking, emergency response systems, everything on their home delivered meals, transportation. They also do, Medicaid also does respite care if that's needed at a facility. And they will offer assistance with adult day as well, if that's something that you're wanting as well. And home medical equipment, medications, all those kinds of things. For a passport, you do have to be over the age of 60. You have to live in the community, and they do, if you're wanting to apply for passport, we'll send out a passport assessor, because you do have to meet what they call a level of care. So you need to be needing assistance with your daily tasks of living, bathing, dressing, those things in order to qualify for that program. And then once again, you do have to qualify for Medicaid. And if you have the passport assessor come out, they will bring the Medicaid application with them, have you fill it out, and they'll turn it in for you. And then you do have to follow up with the Jobs and Family Services in your county to complete that. They do. And then they'll give you the list of things that you would need to supply for Medicaid. This is what the income and asset limits are right now. It changes every year. But right now, can everybody see that? I don't need it. Yeah, okay. So the asset limits is for who is applying for the Medicaid and the passport. The asset limit that's just for a spouse. And then just so that a lot of times people think that if you're married, that they're gonna count both your incomes. They do not. They're just counting whichever person is applying for the Medicaid. Unless you both are, and then they're gonna look at both of them.
Jennifer, is it clear on the Medicaid, I haven't seen a Medicaid application in a couple years. Is it clear what type of Medicaid you're applying for when you fill out a Medicaid application?
That I do not know, because working in the caregiver program, we are not a Medicaid program. We don't take Medicaid, so I don't work with Medicaid, but in the past, the last time I saw a Medicaid application, it's a checkbox at the top of it where you have to check which one you're applying for.
I think that's where a lot of people get really hung up, because there's, traditional Medicaid, that
Right.
it's just your income based
Mhm.
and all of that, which the limits.
I was gonna say, this is for,
$800,
yes,
something
this
like
is
that.
for this is for,
Yeah.
if you're applying for just Medicaid itself,
Yeah.
the income
So
is
that's
much
not it.
lower.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is not
But
what
then
it
there's
would be.
like long-term care, nursing home,
Right.
Medicaid, there's all those different, I always instructed people, if they were filling out an application, yes, that part at the top, but there's also a section somewhere on that first page, I think, that says, does the person applying need in-home or nursing home care? I said, you have to check that yes, because if not, they're gonna think you're applying for regular,
Yes.
traditional Medicaid.
You're
Yeah.
correct,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so a lot of times with that, if you are planning to apply for passport, that's the sole reason why you want to apply for Medicaid, I would encourage you to have the passport assessment first. Call the area office on aging, get a passport assessment scheduled, because like I said, that assessor will bring the application out with you, have you fill it out while they're there, and turn it in for you. So when we're filling them out, there shouldn't be any doubt what you're applying for,
'cause
but
those are
yeah.
confusing forms.
Uh-huh.
There's a lot to them, and
Yeah,
you have the opportunity to have someone sit there and help you while you do it. That's
correct, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to get people to ask for help. So yeah, just if you have like a parent that's caring for their spouse, and a lot of times I would say, getting our information and bringing it to the house, and then getting it again and bringing it to the house. A lot of times for the caregiver program, just having them call us with questions, because for us, the consumer for the caregiver program is strictly the caregiver, not the person you're caring for. So everything we're going to do is to try and help that caregiver. So sometimes approaching it as that, it's for you to try and get some relief. But yeah, it can be difficult because sometimes you don't see yourself as a caregiver. And that's why I mentioned too that you don't have to be living with the person that you're caring for, because sometimes you can be just helping mom or dad or go to the grocery store or, you know, go to doctor's appointments, but so you're not maybe necessarily viewing yourself as a caregiver. However, if you go out of town, they can't last that week alone while you're gone. So kind of rethinking about what things you're doing, and yes, those things might not trigger in your mind as being caregiving, but they are.
Thank you.